What's going on, guys? This is Derek with Football Today podcast. I'm joined by David. How you doing, David?
Doing great. Good to see you guys.
And joined also by Charles. How you doing, Charles?
Doing fantastic. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Glad finally Chelsea squeaked by a win today, so I'm doing pretty good. Or yesterday. But yeah, feeling good. So let's just jump straight into it. I'm excited to talk about specifically the Premier League. So we can just go straight into that. Let's talk about Arsenal first. So Arsenal just went off into the winning ways again. I don't know. I'm still in the opinion of, and everybody is. I'm in the opinion that everybody else is in the opinion that Arsenal are going to flop once they play a big team because they haven't played a big team yet.
I don't think it's just play a big team. I think it's also a confidence thing. So, like, if you look at, like, during the game, there were certain points where they were in trouble and their fans kind of, like, knew it. Like, they were worried. And this has happened a couple weeks. So you always get the feeling that everyone at any point in Arsenal is going to turn if something goes wrong, the fans, the atmosphere will just turn its back on Arsenal. And that's a big problem. That's not good.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think another attitude. Well, I know there's another attitude because I play Sunday League with a couple Arsenal fans, and we just played our championship game this last Friday night. We won, by the way. But like I show up and we start talking like Premier League and stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is our year. Like we're the Invincible or something." It's like, come on, guys, come on, slow it down.
4 games in and they're the Invincibles again.
Four games in, you haven't played a top 5 or top 4 team yet. Yeah. So.
Hey, this is good for them though. If they can get the confidence built up and get more chemistry, that's fantastic for them.
Yeah, I mean, good on them, but yeah. I don't know. Arsenal's Chelsea rival, so. Anyway. Any thoughts, Charles?
Odegaard's doing pretty. I mean, he scored another goal, so he's on fire right now. We'll see if that lasts, but they look good right now. Like we talked about, in our first session this year. Not very deep, so we'll see if they can last. We've said it before; it's a marathon, not a sprint. They came out of the gates hot, but yeah, we'll see how it does. Just like Dave said, confidence is a big issue. We'll see if it can last and if they can hang on through the long season, especially during the winter months. Yes.
They were also exposed by Mitrovic, who played really well, and he stole the ball off one of the defenders. I can't remember who it was. I think it was actually the guy that scored the goal. Magalhaes. I don't know how you say his name.
Oh, the center back. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
And so you could tell though, like until Odegaard or until the game was finally put away, like because it was 1-1, it was a worry for the playoffs. But props to Alexander Mitrovic who's playing really well as well. So you got to give Fulham their dues because the first time we talked about this, the first time Mitrovic came up, everyone was like, he's not doing it, but this year he seems to be really, really doing well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but we talked about Fulham, I think his last show, or even a couple years ago, when they came up, when they were in the Premier League, and they first signed Mitrovic and like all these players, everybody was really excited for them, but I don't know. They like Mitrovic seemed to hit his stride so far in the Prem, so we'll see how if he can keep it going.
Yep.
That's always a big thing of strikers is consistency within the Premier League.
Yep.
All right, let's keep moving. Liverpool scored 9 and kept the clean sheet on Bournemouth. Lots of goals, lots of good goals too. They weren't anything. I think there's a couple cheap ones, but you got thoughts on that, David?
Yeah, I have opinions. I feel like 2 of the goals were incorrectly called, but I guess the main thing is that what happened, what changed between their game with Man U and this week. I think it was just Klopp getting up on them and saying, guys, you really have to win. Like if you get too far behind Man City and these other guys, we're not going to have a chance. So I think Klopp lit into them, and they came out strong. They got early goals, and that just set the tone. I couldn't believe it though, because most clubs, if you're in a professional game, the reason you don't go more than like 4 or 5 goals is because most clubs like shut up shop after that. Like they'll park the bus and you're not getting in there. So I don't know. This is the number though that I called against Man U. So maybe I was just 1 week off. Who knows? I said 9-0 or something like that. I said like 5-0 or 7-0, but I said it might be like even higher. And so maybe who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still think Manchester United played up against Liverpool. And we'll get into Manchester United next in their game. But I think like Ten Hag had a plan, and he knew Liverpool and he knew their style, and he just played to their style or to the club system.
Well, he was under pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a bad start. I mean, the press was on him, the fans were on. He needed a win, and I think he geared everything up for that Liverpool game, But like I said, we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah, so to go back to the pressure that actually Liverpool was feeling, afterward, Klopp was interviewed. He said, I feel bad for was it Scotty Parker was the Bournemouth coach, I'm pretty sure?
Yes.
Like, I feel bad for Scotty Parker because he came at us at a bad time. And you would have said last year, okay, any time's a bad time to face Liverpool, but they haven't been doing great this year. So the fact that Scotty Parker got him at the end of like a really bad high profile game, if they got him before Man U, I bet Bournemouth could have done a lot better. But instead, they get him after Man U, and Liverpool is all psyched up. Luis Diaz played incredibly, and then everyone else just put away their goals too. Like some of these goals were just absolute rippers. Trent Alexander-Arnold, incredible goal. Like, it's not like his touches were incredible, but then he gets the shot. Like, it was just one of those games where they're all taking shots from everywhere, and every shot was going in.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the topic of Manchester United. So I'm going to say they squeaked out a win against Southampton because Southampton in that game really looked dangerous. And I was really surprised they did not level it or even win it against Manchester United. And granted, Manchester United had their chances as well, but they did not do as well as they should have done coming off that Liverpool win. Thoughts, David?
Yeah. So I was and this is one of those things about the Premier League. Like every fan is disappointed when their team doesn't win. But if their team wins poorly, then they're almost as disappointed. I'm not a Man U fan, but I was disappointed in them nonetheless. Their play, they had all 10 men, all 11 men, because the goalie too, behind the ball, a lot of points in the game. They were scared of giving up a goal. They were scared of anything because they knew that if they went down, then Southampton had a good chance of winning. And I think that's what Ten Hag is thinking. He's thinking, hey, if we can just get through this rough patch, if we can just play everyone behind the ball and eke out some wins, we're going to be picking up guys. I know we're going to talk about the transfer soon, but we're going to pick up some guys that are totally going to change how we play. And maybe I'll actually be able to play how I want, because up to this point, he hasn't played how he wants. And as Charles has mentioned, some of these coaches are just they're system coaches. They coach to a system. And Ten Hag's not going to change how he coaches just because Man U literally doesn't have players that can play that system. So Man United is playing a very strange style until they can get a couple wins and actually play how they want to play. That's my opinion.
And Hasenhüttl, he's a good coach. He came over from the Bundesliga from Leipzig, and he got Leipzig in the Champions League when he was there. I think just at Southampton, they don't have the funds or whatever for him to get, quality players to keep up. But with his coaching style, if he had quality players, they could have beat Man U.
They often, for the past, I don't know how long, have been the young players training ground of the Premier League.
Yes.
So many good players in the Premier League.
True.
And so it's kind of interesting that I don't really see very many of that. That's very much that at Southampton right now. Like I don't see any young players that are going to come out and be big stars. So they're kind of relying on who they have, and I don't think they have a good enough striker to, like, if they had a better striker or better movement in the final third, I think they could have demolished Man U.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Premier League relies a lot on strikers and center backs. So if you don't have that number 9, you're going to struggle, or you can struggle. We've seen it the last couple of years where Liverpool and Man City is totally dominated without a number 9. And now Man City has a number 9, Erling Haaland, and he just scored a hat trick. So yeah, so that Crystal Palace game was pretty thrilling actually, because Palace got the own goal and then scored before halftime, and so Manchester City had to rally up and come back in the second half, and then Holland helped them along there.
Yeah, the second half was a Holland show, because the first half, unfortunately, I was watching other games, so I didn't get to see the second half, but I got to see the first half, and Crystal Palace looks like they had Manchester City on the ropes, and I thought maybe this is going to be one of those upset weekends, but then they came back, Holland 3 goals and put it away.
So I think that PSG showed a strong interest in Bernardo Silva, and I think that the first goal that Man City scored shows and proves why Man City wanted to keep him, because I think they wanted to pay like 80 million or something for Bernardo Silva. I can't remember, but Bernardo Silva comes through, he scores that first goal, and all of a sudden Man City are only one down, and Erling Haaland gets a beautiful header. Actually, that header I loved, because I don't know if you guys saw the center back that was on him. Like, he basically put his shoulder into Erling Haaland's back and tried to knock him off. And Erling Haaland, like, you wouldn't have even known that someone was like trying to rugby tackle him, because it just looked so calm. Fantastic header. And then he gets the easy tap in at the back post, and of course then he gets that just the classic Erling Haaland goal. That's
so good.
They didn't even. I don't think that people expected he could get this into the Premier League. This is the reason why they thought he would fail, because he got so many of those throughout his career and before it in Germany, and he comes here and you're like, he's not going to do it. He was getting like rugby tackled and knocked on the ball, and he had perfect control and slots it past the keeper. It wasn't even a question. It was so easy. Like, he gets the ball there, and it's just like, of course he's going to score. And any other player, you would have been like, oh, well, maybe they'll get a foul called on them, and then they'll get a free kick. Guess what? That's an auto goal with Haaland. That's an auto goal, and it's just incredible. So, way to be Haaland, way to be City, a hat trick, unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah. It seems like it's interesting because the EPL's the best league in the world right now, and probably the toughest league to play in. And he seems like maybe it's the cast around him, but he's doing better at Man City than he did at Dortmund in scoring goals. And so maybe it is the cast around him. Maybe it's coaching. I don't know, but he's doing a great job so far.
Well, you got to look at all the players surrounding him. He has. This game he finally linked up with Phil Foden. Phil Foden got that assist, and he has Kevin De Bruyne, which is probably like the best chance creator, and I don't know what to call it, assist maker in the world. I gotta look at stats. I'm not sure if he gets the most assists.
I think in
season, but
the Premier League, but he's up there.
Probably Premier League, yeah. But like, and he has, you know, Bernardo Silva, like, and then wingbacks like João Cancelo, like all these like crazy good passers, to just set him up. And like we've been saying last couple of shows, and even, you know, before the season, like Erling Haaland is that fit for Pep's system. Like he is the number 9 Pep was looking for to complete his whole system. So they're probably going to run away with it.
To go on with that, because when he was in Barcelona, he got oh my gosh, what's his name? He got the big Swede to come in to play at Barcelona, and he was a bad fit. So everyone. Yeah, Zlatan went to Barcelona, and Pep and he didn't work out. Like, it didn't work out at all. So people are like, maybe Pep doesn't actually want a striker. But let me tell you, Pep wants Erling Haaland. Like, Erling Haaland might not be like a small, nimble number 9 that just taps the ball around and then gets in there. But he changes the way. Like, this is how it's going to be for most of the teams that Man City play against. They're gonna have 2 center backs on Erling Haaland. They're going to be bodying him up the whole time. It's going to be opening up tons of different runs for all the other players. And then in the second half, those center backs aren't going to be able to keep up with Erling Haaland and Man City, and space is going to develop. That last goal that he scored, he just kind of hung off to the one side, forced the center backs to make bad decisions. Everything opened up, and then he just walked right in, you know, very fast. Yeah. Very fast and with incredible control and body control, but he did an Erling Haaland thing that everyone else would have struggled to do, and it was just incredible. So
even his header, he was in between the 2 like middle center backs, and he got space off the second one, like backed up against the other center back, and this was like entering the final third of the pitch. And he was like asking for the ball, and it was at the left wing back. He's like backing up against while running, like creating space in between his 2 center backs, and the cross came in, and it's just like,
yeah. And so the other everyone around him just needs to realize, like, when you see Erling Haaland like that, just feed him the ball. Don't you want an extra goal? Just give it to Erling Haaland. Come on,
yeah.
Like, those are the right moments.
In the box.
Put it in him, and once he's created that space, he'll be able to finish it. But like, if you got to trust him at some point. And I think Man City is so used to not having that option that they're still figuring it out. But once they get used to having the option, it's going to change.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Not from Kevin De Bruyne, though, because on Belgium he has Romelu Lukaku, and so I think Kevin De Bruyne is used to feeding him balls to like big number 9 strikers. But I think definitely like João Cancelo and David Silva and Phil Foden. Definitely Grealish. I think Grealish is like the player that has to conform to Haaland. Because Grealish is like this, you know, left wing attacker, super fast, super like on the dribble, likes to get into the box, attacking defenders, and like dribble through and then score like a little dink, like curve into the far post or whatever, instead of looking for that number 9 or looking for the pass to get to the number 9 or something like that. So,
well, I think that's the main reason why Riyad Mahrez and Phil Foden started, because Phil Foden is kind of more of like that person that is used to playing in Pep style a little differently instead of being by himself. And Riyad Mahrez has the quality to come up with these ideas and pick out those different runs, even if he's not used to it. I think they're just the quicker at adapting. While you said Grealish is still adapting to Man City in general, much less Man City plus Erling Haaland.
Yeah, Grealish only came on last season, so
yeah,
he's still adapting to Pep as well. All right, yeah, let's keep moving on. So next we can talk about Chelsea. Chelsea barely squeaking by Leicester. two very, very rookie mistakes by Colin Gallagher. His first yellow was, a rookie mistake, creating that foul, and then his second yellow is I don't know what he's doing. He just flung his leg out there trying to get the ball, I guess. And I think he's like the last defender off the corner kick counterattack, so it's an automatic yellow and he was off. So, but Sterling came to our rescue, which reminded me of the good old days when we had Willian. For some reason, Sterling reminds me of Willian, not Hazard. For some reason, I don't know, but yeah, Sterling gets 2 decent goals. I think there's a goal disallowed as well, but either way, it was even when we had 11 men, it wasn't a convincing performance as I wanted it to be, and I think that's due to, again, injuries, because I know Kovacic got in there a little bit, but we're missing Conte for injury. I think Jorginho's out on injury as well. Double check that, but yeah, you guys got thoughts on the Chelsea game if you guys saw highlights or whatever?
Yeah, Jorginho did start with Gallagher. Yeah. So 2 things. Like you said, Chelsea wasn't doing great at the beginning, and they should have, because truthfully, Leicester's not playing like a top side right now. They're not playing well, and people should beat them. So they do have the quality, but they're not playing well. So I'm kind of disappointed that Chelsea didn't do better at the beginning. But when they did go down a man, it seemed like they put their backs to the wall and played a little better than they had been, and I admired that. They real quick, because I'm a fan of Spanish football. Cucurella, who just got transferred to Chelsea, he was the one who was at fault for Gallagher's second yellow. He tried putting the ball back in off a corner, I think, and it bounced like straight to like a Leicester man who just waltzed past everyone, and Gallagher almost had to make the foul. But if he was smarter, he would have been like, I'm already on a yellow, I can't do that. So yeah, that's on Gallagher. But when the goals were scored by Raheem Sterling, Cucurella was the happiest, because he knew that he had caused the errors, and he knew that when the game was analyzed, that was the reason why they went down a man. And so you should have seen the joy on his face. If you didn't see the highlights, look at Cucurella's just happiness at Raheem scoring the goal.
Yeah, no, Cucurella has really jumped into Tuchel's system, and he's making us very happy right now. We're gonna push on from. Well, I'm trying to see if there's any other. My notes here. Sorry, guys. I guess quick note from the Tottenham game today. The only thing I noted from that was the Suarez hand save from the Nottingham Forest guy. I don't know why he did not get a red card. That was actually something I was going to comment on. First of all, I've enjoyed Nottingham Forest, and I think they're playing well, and I feel bad for them. But that was clearly a red card. This is something that in American football happens all the time. A wide receiver will go out, someone will cause pass interference, and they'll be like, oh, well, the ball was uncatchable anyway, so it wasn't an issue. So that was what they said about Harry Kane. They said that the ball was coming in, it was too high for him. And so when the guy hit it with his hand, well, he wouldn't have hit it anyway. That's why it wasn't a red card. Well, guess what? He was also kind of holding on to Harry Kane, and so Harry Kane couldn't jump as high as he would have. Are you telling me really that you can prognosticate exactly what would occur if the handball and the guy wasn't holding on to him? You can't divine this.
So I hate those alternative realities where they're like, well, we're not giving him a red card because basically we think that he probably stopped a sure goal, but maybe not. Who knows? It's too, to me, that's too mystic. Like, be like, hey, the ball was in Harry Kane's vicinity and the guy stopped it with his hand from getting to where Harry Kane was trying to be. Like, that's good enough for me. That's a red card.
It's clear and obvious terminology.
Yeah. And what do we have VAR for if you're not going to use it correctly?
Yeah. Like,
that's the main question, right?
And I don't like VAR, but we have it. Why aren't you going to use it correctly?
See, I think the problem is they changed the rules again to give more freedom and liberties to the referees to decide like stuff in the game, sure, which can be good, but in instances like these, and it's not like this weekend either. Like almost every Premier League weekend, there's like a big controversial like VAR decision or no decision that shouldn't have or should have been. So I don't know. I think last season was pretty good with VAR besides offsides. Yeah. And then they tried to change offsides. Now everything else sucks. So,
and the offsides one should be the easiest to fix because all you need to do is like, I think in the Dutch league they did this. Instead of having two incredibly thin lines that you're just looking at, and like if it's a millimeter apart, it will call it. There was like a little bit of an overlap. So if the lines overlapped at all, they're like, well, that's close enough so that we can't actually say if it was offside or not, and we're going to give it. And it can be all computer. There's no human element that's needed. You just say there's a margin of error. It fit within the margin of error. It was good. And I agree with you though. Like, what are they doing with VAR if they don't really look at the stuff and say, okay, yeah, that was clearly a red card. I don't know. It was very clear. If everyone here, like, I'm the only Tottenham fan, and everyone here was like, oh, that was a red card.
So. Yeah. All right. We're going to move on from Premier League. We're going to jump into Bundesliga now. Let's start off with Bayern, Charles. How the Bayern's game go?
It was a game to watch, and I know a lot of Bayern fans are going to be disappointed in the result, especially when they see the stats. Bayern had 20 shots on target. So these weren't ones going wide or going over the bar or whatever. 20 shots.
Pepper in that goal.
And Sommer blocked 19 of them. He was.
Was that a new record for Bundesliga?
Yeah, that was a new record. The previous record was 14. And was
that world or was that just Bundesliga?
Bundesliga record. Bundesliga record was 14, and he broke it with 19. And a lot of those, I mean, you had 3 or 4 that went, typical straight to the goalie, but most of them were low or high or to the side, where he had to dive for them, get a foot out. He blocked 3 of them with his feet, just kicking out.
Nuts.
And he stood on his head yesterday. I mean, the game, it could have been almost like the Liverpool. I mean, Bayern could have scored. It could have been 9-1, 8-1, 9-1. But Sommer stood on his head, and it was a great game. I was impressed by them, and and then Bayern, typical, they play high defense, and so Gladbach had a great kick forward. Upamecano, he messed up on the ball and tried to kick it away when it came down to him. Mönchengladbach got it and put it in the back of the net for that lead. But hey, Bayern did have 2 goals taken away from him for offsides. One, Mane was he was offsides big time. The other one, technically by the rules, it was offsides. What it wasn't Mane offsides. It was Sané coming back from an offside position. They said he interfered in the play by coming back from an offside position because he had to make like a whoop move to get the ball to go around them for the pass to Mane, which they said blocked the view of the Gladbach defenders, so they called that offsides. Yes, no, technically, I guess it's offsides because he did interfere with the play. But that was 2 goals that was taken away from Bayern that could have made the game totally different.
Isn't that like 5 disallowed goals from Mane within like 4 Bundesliga games now?
Yeah.
That's like a crazy stat.
Well, yeah, because
he's also scoring.
Just a little bit of awareness. He's going to score his goals, but sometimes he's not aware and he's offsides, and he gets goals taken away from him. But it was a great game. It was fantastic to watch. For a while, all the Bundesliga fans all the Bayern fans were like, wow, Bayern's going to lose this one. And they were getting frustrated. And that's something I've noticed in the last few years with Bayern. You get them losing or they're thinking they should be winning, they get frustrated and they make mistakes. They start being too rough. They start getting yellow cards. They start not thinking right. And it showed yesterday. Gladbach took them off their game. The keeper, Sommer, he was just blocking shot after shot. And Kimmich was getting riled, and he got a yellow card. Sabitzer got a yellow card. They were just getting knocked off their game because goals were not going in. And so it was frustrating for him. But it was a fantastic game to watch. But, yeah, Bayern had 7 offsides, 14 corners, and 20 shots on goal. I mean, it should have been a dominating game. But you mentioned earlier, we were talking before the show, Derek, that, Bayern slipped up. But if you really know about this rivalry since the 1970s, everybody talks about Bayern, Dortmund, whatever, because Dortmund's been good the last, 15 years or so. But this is their true rivals, kind of so to speak, besides, Nuremberg. And over the last 10 years, Bayern has 9 wins, Gladbach has 9 wins, and they have 5 draws. And so this is a team that somehow knows how to frustrate Bayern Munich, knows how to beat them. And maybe the other Bundesliga teams need to take a note on what Gladbach is doing. Yesterday it was mostly the keeper, but their defense played outstanding also. They played in a line, all 4, and they just baffled the Bayern offense. And yeah, Bayern was getting through. And like I said, 20 shots on target, but they were doing enough to keep them out of the goal, which created the draw. So it was a great, great game.
Yeah, cross-city rivals can do that for matches like that.
Yeah, I think games like that also, though, like that's not a bad sign for Bayern. That means that if they play right, they can score 9 goals a game. 20 something shots on target, whatever that is. That's fantastic. I know in some of the Premier League games that we were talking about just earlier, like they only had like 3 or 4 shots on target. 20 should be enough to win you every time, and the 1 in 100 chance that it doesn't means that like Jan Sommer, some goalie has to be performing incredibly. So I think it's fine. Yeah,
I do too. I'm not worried about anything. I was watching ESPN after the game, and they're like, oh, I told you guys before the season started, they're going to miss Lewandowski. This is where Lewandowski would have done it. No, I'm sorry. 20 shots on goal, 2 of them 2 disallowed. I mean, come on. I mean, Sommer just played an outstanding game. He was just a miracle for them yesterday for Gladbach. Lewandowski wouldn't have helped. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, let's breeze through the rest of Bundesliga real quick. FC Union Berlin put 6 past Schalke. Schalke got 1 back though, but they're sitting second behind Bayern, right, Charles?
Yeah, they're only second because of goal differential, but they have the same points.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully they can keep it up, and they'll be competing with.
Bayern.
Dortmund and Leipzig.
They're looking good, so I can't wait for that matchup. I'm hoping they keep it up because right now they're dominating everybody they're playing. Offense, defense, everything. They're dominating. So we'll see when they hit Bayern, but they look really, really sharp so far, and I'm impressed.
Yeah, so hopefully that pans out to be a really good fight up top. Then we got Werder Bremen and Frankfurt fought it out for a little bit. Score being 4-3. Frankfurt dominating a little bit, and then Werder Bremen gets a consolation penalty in the last
at the end. Yeah,
couple seconds. So
yeah, and one thing interesting that's funny in the Bundesliga, the fans are doing a protest, and this isn't just at Bayern games. This is Bundesliga wide. Every time there is a VAR review, the fans are protesting and chanting, "Get rid of VAR! Get rid of VAR!" And they said it doesn't matter if VAR went for your team or against your team. It doesn't matter. Both sides, the visiting fans and the home fans in every stadium across the Bundesliga, they want VAR gone. And it's very interesting because the Bundesliga likes VAR, but the fans, they like tradition. In Germany, it's a little different. They like traditional football. They said it's played on the field. The decision should be on the field, whether it goes against my team or for my team. But they're protesting to get rid of VAR. I don't think it's going to go away, but the fans are against it so far.
One of my main problems with VAR is not the incorrect decisions, but the amount of time. Like they're in the middle of the game and it stops the flow of the game. So I agree with the fans on this one that if the problem is that football is such a worldwide product now that you can't talk to the fans in America and be like, so why did the refs in Germany make the call wrong? And it's like, well, because they didn't want technology involved. It doesn't make sense to the fans in America. To the people in Germany, it makes perfect sense, but to the other people, it might not.
Yeah. And I'm wearing this 1972, I'd say 69 through 72 jersey for the fans of the Südkurve in Bayern, because it's their 50th anniversary. It started August 2nd, 1972, the Südkurve for the fan supporter group. And they were all in white yesterday during the game, and they were loud, and they were celebrating, even though and booing because So, yeah, it was a great little feat there for the fans. I thought that was pretty cool.
It's such a
That's pretty neat. Yeah, that is a nice jersey. All right, let's keep moving. Let's go into LaLiga. We saw Real Madrid. How did Real Madrid do this week?
They won, and it looks like on paper they're like, they won 3-1 against Real Valladolid, I think it was. But they scored 2 goals in the very late stages. It felt to me almost like they were channeling their Champions League victory style of just saying, maybe we can't score in the normal time, but we'll score at the end. We'll figure it out in the end. And of course, it was Benzema who did it. He scored a pretty free kick, and he did great. They didn't look bad. They're integrating some of their younger players, which is good. Some of the guys they got. So those guys looked great. They looked like they're playing well. No complaints on that side. It just is kind of a little worrisome when one of the best teams in the world, supposedly the best team in the world, can't beat a lower level LaLiga side like handily. Real Valladolid played well, and Joselu, who has a great record against Real Madrid, scored. So it was kind of scary for Real Madrid. They needed to play better. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have any opinions on that because you probably don't watch the highlights, but that's Real Madrid needs to step up their game.
League is different than Champions League. This might happen in the league, but I guarantee you they're going to be there in Champions League like they always are.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, it's a long season, and I'm looking at it from a supporter's perspective, so it's difficult. It's a long season, but it's just frustrating when you see these young players and you're like, shouldn't you guys were supposedly the best players, from a different league. You got bought and pulled in, and yet you're not looking like you're not looking like a team yet. So it takes a little while for that to happen. I understand that, but it's difficult for supporters to watch and say, why aren't you beating the teams you should beat? And luckily, like Charles said, like they'll be there, and it's LaLiga. It's not EPL, so they don't need to worry about ending up in 10th because they didn't start off strong.
Well, and Derek and I talked about this with Werner and other people. Sometimes going to a different league and a different club, it takes a while, and it could take 6 months. Some players, it could take an entire year, and then they don't come on strong until their second year there. So they got to get used to everything. It's a new country, it's a new league, it's a new club, new players, new ownership, new coach, and so these young players, it could take a little bit, but as the season goes, you'll probably see them grow and get better.
Yeah. Speaking of that, though, Barcelona has tons of new players, and it's actually some of their older players who are finally coming through that looked really good. Clearly, Lewandowski, I've said it before, like he'll get his goals.
Definitely.
But like Dembele was looking fantastic, and I know that I don't know when he first came into Barcelona, but people were considering him a flop at the beginning, and he's looking great now. Stuff like that, and then some classic players like oh my gosh, who's their right back that's been around forever? He's actually a midfielder, but he played right back for them. So it's going to take me a hot second. Anyway, like some of those players played fantastic and kind of allowed Barcelona to play the game they wanted to. I'm going to continue to say this week after week until something occurs. Barcelona is cheating by allowing to play these players because they're breaking the economic structures of LaLiga and of UEFA and FIFA. So I'm just going to keep mentioning that every time we talk, even if it doesn't seem to be the main story. Just remember that Barcelona is cheating.
I agree 100%. Every game they win should have an asterisk for cheating.
Yeah, like look at their team. Like if any team could sign those players and not worry about how much they cost, of course they would. But every other team is trying to abide by financial fair play a little bit. The last thing with La Liga that I really want to mention, Atletico Madrid is playing tomorrow, so I'll ignore them for the moment. They need to step up their game. But the last thing I want to mention is Real Betis Balompié, one of my teams. They're in third or second place right now. They're tied with Real Madrid. They always start, or for the past couple of years, they've started the season strong. I hope they continue. They're doing well. They have a good, solid team and a great culture and environment at the club. So hopefully they can continue. But congrats to them. I just want to say that anytime. Usually in the first couple of months, they somehow end up at the top of the table, and I give them a shout out, and then they kind of drop down a little. But I love Real Betis Balompié, so I'll give them that shout out.
All right. Thanks for the update, David. Yeah, I know we talked about midweek when that article came out about UEFA cracking down on 20, not just, like one or two clubs here, 20 clubs within Europe that violated the financial fair play laws this transfer season. So
here's the thing though, real quick. So imagine that you spent like 200 million more than you brought in. That's a financial fair play problem. And Man City and PSG and all these teams, they did that. But Barcelona is $800 million in debt and then spent like this much more, which they acquired through very strange means to sign their players. So I think, anyway, all these clubs should be investigated. I'm not saying Real Madrid is in financial issues. Like all these clubs are in financial issues. And so I'm not saying they shouldn't be investigated. Investigate them. But just remember that out of all the cheaters, Barcelona's cheating the most.
Yes. Yeah. And some of these aren't even just this year, Derek. Like the Roma one, I read an article about Roma, and it was for the 2021 season that they violated the financial fair play.
Financial fair play takes forever to figure out. And there's also like legal issues where they say, like, I still don't know what happened to Man City after they said, oh, like, we're investigating you because we think that you got too much money from your sponsors.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, it was actually fine. And I hadn't heard anything since then. Yeah. Man City basically was just like, no, we're fine. You're the ones who are wrong.
Yeah, and UEFA came out and said that they're the punishments are going to be different for each club. There's basically two punishments. Some is going to be a financial punishment, and others is going to be a transfer ban punishment. And I guess it depends on the severity. Or some teams that are really bad are going to be both. So I guess it depends on the severity of what the violation of the FFP was.
So I think Barcelona and a lot of these clubs were like anticipating that, so maybe they're already being investigated, and they know they're getting like a transfer ban or they're going to get restrictions, and so that's why they're just like spending out their butt to get all these players and all these good players now to keep them on their like 5-year contract or whatever.
Well, it's a lot harder to take players away once they've actually been signed and to undo something. Which is actually that. So Barcelona, I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple years ago they had a transfer ban, and what did they do? Whoever was putting down the transfer ban, I can't remember if it was LaLiga or who. Barcelona just signed a bunch of players, and said, like, even if we can't play you now, like once the transfer ban is done, come over here. And basically the transfer ban impacted them like nothing. It did nothing to them. Yeah. And that's the problem with these things, is there's only one actual punishment for teams like this, and that's financial punishment. Like, that's the only thing that matters, because they're not. Everyone always says, "Oh, that's not sporting," but they're businesses. They're businesses.
Yeah.
So, guess what? The sporting part, like you can hit them on a sporting level. They don't care. It's about money.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, it's not even, I mean, a lot of these clubs aren't even like big clubs. I mean, they're big clubs, but not your elite. Like Roma is tagged in there. Marseille from France is tagged in there. Kind of like one step down clubs from the elite, So
I'd like to point out as well that, like, financial fair play, like, people are saying that, like, oh, it's I don't know. Like, basically, I think it's unfair of smaller clubs as well, or unfair to smaller clubs, because say they get a rich owner, they still can't like change how they do things that well. They have to do things underhandedly. It's not just a rich owner can come in and spend some money on the team, because then they'll be like, okay, you spent a bunch of money, but how much money did you make? And I'm not saying that that's wrong either to be aware of that, but I think that basically you can, if you're running financial fair play, you can critique whatever clubs you want, because there's always every club has made mistakes. Every club is not abiding by financial fair play 100%. So I think it's more of a political thing than it is an actual tool for helping the clubs stay financially healthy, which I agree should be their goal. They should be more financially healthy than they are. But I just don't think that financial fair play is actually the way that it should go.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Sorry for that giant.
No, you're good. You're good. It's good conversation. We'll see what happens with in the next couple months. Hopefully, I'm assuming before the World Cup, they'll come out with some sort of announcement of what may be happening. But probably everything will be put on pause during the World Cup.
But again, it's Europe. We know their politics. They're weak. They talk tough, but when it comes down to it, I bet you the punishments are going to be weak.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to damage their reputation or whatever. So.
Well, like we said earlier, Barcelona was doing a power play, and all these other guys are doing power plays. They're like, oh, really? You're going to criticize us, like one of the biggest teams in the world? Like, even people that have never heard of any soccer player know about Barcelona, know about Messi, know about all this. So So they know who has the pressure. No one, like, unless you're really into football, you don't know about FIFA and UEFA and the different leagues. You just know the clubs. So who has the actual power? It's the clubs.
Yeah. And that's sad.
Sorry, I had myself muted. I was going to say, I think what I remember is when clubs started being bought by big money during the 90s. And that's when everything started really becoming the money game. And then the 2000s hit and it just took off from there. So
yeah. So a real quick addendum. I think that so far what's been happening is that, like, players have continued to increase in power. Like, they command such giant fees that it's unbelievable. Imagine in the early 2000s, you could get a player, a solid, like one of the best players in the world, maybe for like 3 or 4 million at most. And now if you want that, it's 10 times that price.
Yeah.
And maybe even more. So as long as that keeps going, it makes no sense. That makes no sense financially. And so there needs to be some sort of levers that the clubs or that FIFA or UEFA can pull that make it. Yeah, I know I shouldn't have said that, but that make it so the players aren't the only ones that, like, I'm not saying it's the players' fault, but no one should be, like, clubs shouldn't have to be saying, like, oh, the only way we can get better is by spending 40 million on one player. There's no way they can stick to financial fair play if that's the case, because those kind of numbers are ridiculous. And that's the actual issue, my thought.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of the answer is I even heard it from British announcers, Derek, so this isn't just Bundesliga, but British announcers are even, the 50+1 rule needs to be in every league. Get rid of these rich playboys that come in and buy these clubs just to be, look, I own Chelsea, or I own Man City, or I own Barcelona, whatever it is. And they just spend lots of money. That needs to go away. Football is about football. I know it's a business, but you can have a business as a fan group owning the team and having like a minority owner or investors coming in and helping with money. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the 50+1 rule in Germany. And I think it should be not just Europe-wise, worldwide. The fans and the club should own the team, not some rich guy from the Middle East or America or Asia or whatever. You're not even part of England. And you got all these foreigners owning every single club, or at least the big clubs. It's ridiculous.
Hey, England's a small island. There's not that many billionaires.
Hey, Newcastle never would have gotten any players if this hadn't occurred.
Exactly.
Any players.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We're getting a little low on time here, so we're gonna skip some few things and go straight to Champions League draw. So we're gonna do a quick overview of the groups here. Just pull them up. So Group A. Okay, so I'll first go over the groups. We'll say the first and second place of each group, and then that'll be it. So we won't get to the whole like seeding and who's playing who and the knockout rounds and all that stuff. We'll just do groups today. All right, Group A is Ajax, Liverpool, Napoli, and Rangers. I'll go with Liverpool and Ajax. Who you guys got?
I want Napoli, so I'm hoping that Napoli, but realistically Liverpool then Napoli. Let's say it like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Liverpool's going to win that group. It's going to be a toss-up between Ajax and Napoli. I might edge Napoli just a little bit because they're in a tougher league, but Ajax has history. They always, even though they lost a lot of players, they seem like they always gain more players, bring players up from their reserve squad and youth organizations, and they're always there. So it's going to be close, but I think I'm going to just barely give the edge to Napoli for second.
All right. Rangers are finally in the Champions League again. Just a side note there. Group B, we got Porto, Atletico, Leverkusen, and Club Brugge. Brugge?
Yes.
Bruges.
Belgium.
I'm gonna go with Atletico and Leverkusen.
Wow.
I'm putting Leverkusen through.
I think it's finally Porto's year, so I think Porto and Leverkusen. I think Atletico don't even make it, and I think it's going to be a giant problem. Yeah,
man, we're all over the place in this group.
Wow, I'm a Bundesliga fan, and I know Leverkusen looked good this weekend, but prior to that, they didn't. I'm going to go Atletico winning and Porto in second. Leverkusen coming in third.
I think that whole group though is going to be a lot tighter than you think.
Oh yeah. That's really good competition. That whole group there. Wow. All right. Group C, group of death. Bayern, Barcelona, Inter Milan, and Platschen.
Victoria Pilsen. Pilsen, yeah.
I thought it was like Czech or something.
It is a Czech team.
It is a Czech? Okay.
Team, yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with, obviously, Bayern 1, obviously. And then that's a tough one. I'm going to put Inter Milan over Barcelona, though. I don't think Barcelona's going to make out of the group. I think they're going to choke because they have Lewandowski.
Yeah, I hope that, actually. But I think Bayern, then Barca. But I hope Inter wins. Cross that finger for Inter.
Hopeful.
And I'm not even an Inter fan, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is a tough group, but I think Bayern's going to win the group. Yes, Barcelona has Lewandowski now. They're starting to score goals, and hey, it starts in September, so we'll see how in sync Barcelona is. I'm going to say Inter squeaks Barcelona for second. Barcelona third. But isn't it like doesn't like 2 or 3 third place teams make it out anyway? I think Barcelona is probably going to be one of those 3 third place teams that stay in the Champions League. But
drop them down to the Europa League. Get them playing there.
I'm hoping, but they're starting to look good, and with the talent they have, the cheaters are going to be there either second or third. I'm just going to edge it with Inter for second. Just by
I told you, I think they'll make it. I just don't want them to.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Cheaters. I mean, the cheaters shouldn't make it, but they got the talent.
All right, let's keep moving. Group D, we got Frankfurt, Tottenham, Sporting, and Marseille. Ooh, that's a good group. Ooh.
Tottenham, definitely.
Yeah, I'm picking Tottenham 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll go with Marseille in second.
Yeah, I'll say Tottenham 1, but really, when you support a team and you know all their failures, Tottenham could easily absolutely destroy it. So I don't think Sporting is that good, but I think Tottenham and Frankfurt maybe. Who knows? I don't know who the second place would be at all.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Tottenham number 1, definitely. I'm gonna have to go with Derek and say Marseille second. They're higher up in League One. Frankfurt's struggling right now. They're sitting at 11th in Bundesliga. I know they're the holders for Europa Cup, but they just haven't started off the season well. We'll see when actually Champions League gets started, but it's hard for me going against Bundesliga teams, but I'm going to have to say Marseille second, Frankfurt third.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Group B. We got AC Milan, Chelsea, Red Bull Salzburg, and Dynamo Kiev. Oh, wait.
Zagreb.
I almost said Kiev.
Zagreb, they're from Croatia.
Yeah. I knew that. I think Chelsea are going to top their group, and then it's going to be AC Milan, but it's going to be a hard fought for Chelsea to get that number 1 spot.
Yeah, I'll have to say the same, but I saw Dinamo play a couple times, and they do play well.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing. Chelsea, AC Milan.
All right, pretty straightforward. All right, Group F. Real Madrid, Leipzig, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Celtic. That's a pretty decent group.
Yeah.
Real Madrid 1, and I would say Leipzig 2.
I think Leipzig's actually going to win it over Real Madrid. Like if they keep playing like they do, I don't see Real Madrid on the path up yet. That's the problem. Like they're not going up right now. They're like wobbling.
Yeah. My thing with Leipzig is like, especially this weekend, there's a Timo Werner shot that was totally Timo Werner.
Yeah,
he skied it at the 6-yard box, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes these groups are the hardest for Real Madrid because they can't come out and just like they're not. Real Madrid's never the underdogs, but sometimes they can play like the underdogs. They can play where they're like a little more defensive and say like, okay, you can come on to us and we can actually counterattack. If you take away Real Madrid's counterattacking ability, because they always have to be on the attack, because like none of these teams are going to come out against Real Madrid and really like pressure them. It makes their games a little more unidimensional, and they don't always break open teams as well as they should. You know, maybe this year will be different because they got some of these young players like finally stepping up, but that's my worry.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going to say Real Madrid and Leipzig second, but Shakhtar's good and Celtic. I think they could be right there with Leipzig. Leipzig's known.
It's true. I see that.
Lay an egg or two, you know, and choke in some game. So I'm going to say they're going to come in second, but, you know, it's going to be a tougher group than people think. With the exception of Real Madrid winning it, you know.
Yep. All right, Group G, we got Manchester City, Sevilla, Dortmund, and Copenhagen. That's a good one. I think obviously it's Man City 1. I'm going to go with Dortmund 2. But I honestly think it's going to be up in the air between Dortmund and Sevilla. It's going to be a hard-fought battle between those two.
Yeah, Man City number 1 clearly. I think Sevilla right now looks better than Dortmund. Who knows if Dortmund actually pulls together? But Sevilla has a lot of talent, and they have a good coach, and they could really do good things.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. It's going to be tight between Sevilla and Dortmund. Man City 1, but I'm just going to give the edge to Sevilla. Sorry, Bundesliga, but Dortmund doesn't look good right now, and lately they haven't looked good in Champions League lately. So I'm gonna have to give the edge to Sevilla.
Yeah. All right, last group, Group H. Normally, I don't know what you guys are feeling. Normally, you look at this group and be like, okay, that's a decent group, but looking at it, it's PSG, Juve, Benfica, and on the last team, Haifa.
Maccabi Haifa, an Israeli team. Yeah. Okay. In some like Middle Eastern areas, they wouldn't even show them on the TV because they don't want to give it. Yeah, so that's kind of rough.
Yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, like normally you look at the group and you're like, oh, that's a decent group, but with the form that PSG and Juve are in right now, it's just like, Like to me, this group's really up in the air. Obviously, it's between PSG and Juve, unless Benfica can take advantage of their like drop in form and maybe like overcome Juve or something. But I don't know.
I was gonna say one thing about PSG. Did you guys see that Neymar got like a yellow card after 5 minutes for shoving someone? Or something like that. I don't know. Stuff like that always makes me happy. I'm like, come on, Neymar. PSG's clearly the best out of this group right now, so they should get first. Juve normally would be second. They're not playing well at all right now. They have Maximiliano, they have Allegri, who could help them out. But I'm actually going to go for a wild card and say Benfica. I think Juve, I don't think they've done enough to actually fix their team. Their team's in a lot of trouble right now.
I mean, PSG 1. I'm going to stick with Juve 2 just because of experience. Juve is a great team, though. It's probably going to be close between Juve and Benfica, but I'm just going to give the edge to Juve.
They should get 2. I'm just going out on a limb.
No,
Yeah.
This whole thing should.
Right. Benfica usually plays pretty well in the Champions League, though, especially in group stage. So I would not be surprised if they would come in second. But I'm just going to give the edge to Juve right now.
All right. And then we'll do quick predictions. Who you guys think is going to win it all?
I think it's finally Man City's year. Give Man City the
I
medal.
think so too.
Get Erling Haaland up there holding the trophy and Pep crying in the background.
Me too. I agree.
I said a week ago or so, I said this is Bayern's year again. The way they've been playing and everything, and it has nothing to do with the Gladbach. They just seem like they're in a team of destiny again, like 2020. But now I don't know. Man City, the way Holland's playing, he could be, like you guys are saying, he could be that missing piece that Man City's been looking for. I'm kind of up in the air. It's going to either be Bayern or Man City winning it. One of those two. And I guess now they don't do draws anymore after the round of 16. They put them in a bracket.
Yeah, it's A, B, C seed.
Yeah. If they're not in the same bracket,
they're not.
It's going to be a Man City Bayern final.
So they won't be in the same bracket, I don't think.
Okay. All the predictions. We're going all the way.
So
love it.
So they shouldn't be, because it should be like group E through H should be on one bracket, and then A through D is on the other side. And so, like, for example, I think.
But doesn't it have to go? Doesn't it have to go because the second place teams goes to the other side, though, right? So.
Yeah. So potentially Bayern will be playing like Sevilla.
Yep, that's only the round of.
Like Leipzig, round 16.
16.
Yeah, but
then when you get to the quarterfinals and semifinals, that's when the.
Yeah, but if you're number one, like you said, all the A seeds stay on that same side.
Yes.
So it'd be like Liverpool, Atletico, Bayern, and Tottenham all on the same side. And so Bayern will play like Tottenham or Atletico in the quarterfinals, and then face like Liverpool in the semis or something like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be like a Man City Bayern final, which would be crazy.
I hope not, because I mean, it'd be kind of nice for Bayern to beat Guardiola and an English team, but in the Champions League, we only have a losing record to English clubs. We're 1-3, so I don't want to be 1-4. So I hope we don't face Man City.
That's a funny reason, because not to bring up bad memories, but when Chelsea beat Bayern, that was so unlucky for Bayern. They should have had that one. So it should be 2-2.
Gosh, that sorry, Derek, but that was a frustrating champions for me, because Neuer, if he was like they said, Neuer was
like
messed
inches
up at the end for that tie goal.
They hit it into the goal.
And this time Neuer backed up, and so when he smacked the ball up, he smacked it into his net. They said if you would have been 1 foot further out, it would have been over the net. Game over. Bayern would have won. Then you had Robin missing the PK in extra time.
It's just written in the stars. It just was.
Yeah, it was. It was written in, because then you had two of your superstars, Schweinsteiger and Lahm, hit the post, which basically gave Chelsea the championship, because then we know what happened.
Yeah, all Drogba had to do is tap it in. So
tap it in.
I was trying to convince you that some of this is just luck at the highest stages, and instead you're like, and it's all fate.
No, you're right. No,
that's all championship is, or the Champions League is. Like if there's a team on fire, or if there's like, or sometimes if there's like a Cinderella story or something, like it, you can tell it's written in the stars. Like you can tell like this could like really happen. So
I think both of you are correct. It's luck, I mean, because look, I mean, like you were talking, Dave, for last year, Real Madrid, nobody expected them. They didn't look like the power team they used to. And Derek, you're right on the aspect. They had the momentum, the fairy tale. They kept going, and so you're both right. And I think
3 late games.
Champions League, you have to have some luck, and you have to have that destiny.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Crazy. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this show. Thanks, Charles. Thanks, David, for joining. As always, talking up with some good conversations about European football and Champions League. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all the social media, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, Auf Wiedersehen.